day is going good. I'm just happy to be done with school for the day.
Playing outside all the time.
I love my little bunny. I named him Thriver.
We just got a puppy too, and she's really cute.
I like to play a lot.
I had an amazing childhood, but in the past few years I have met so many kids who cannot say the same. So I created this film to uncover this scary reality that all of these children are experiencing as childhood. So in the film, you will be hearing from the kids themselves, and they'll be sharing stories and experiences and really just pieces of their lives with you so we can better understand what these kids are going through. And then you will also be meeting and hearing from some professionals in the field who will talk about the impact of childhood domestic violence, as well as what individuals, you and I, and that can be doing to help, as well as communities and society as a whole, what we can all be doing to help these kids.
Once when my mom came in my dad's friend's house, he just started pulling my mom's hair.
And he acted like she tripped, but I saw him push her.
He gets so angry at me for crying when he's hurting Mom.
Just wish he would leave us alone. My dad, he was never nice to my mom. He always hit her on the head and called her mean names. He comes round from time to time.
Then he hurts people.
It gets worse every day.
My mom's boyfriend got arrested, and we had to stay with my grandma. My mom was upset about it for a while. My mom is working a lot now, but I hope we stay at my grandma's longer.
I like to go in my closet and put headphones on.
The men my mom had been with have scared me a lot.
Yeah, there was this one man about 3 years ago that my mom dated. He made her go to the hospital, and I'm still afraid he is out there and is going to hurt us. I mean, she broke bones and stuff from him. I was so scared she would actually die. I lived with my grandma for 3 months until my mom got better. 3 months is a long time. I missed my mom a lot.
He lets me put on his really expensive headphones so I can't hear my mom being hurt. My mom still cries sometimes and has dreams about Daddy.
I got to spend a lot of time with my grandma, and that made things easier. My mom's boyfriend moved out, but my mom and I still don't get along that well.
I don't have a dad anymore because he was hurting us.
Going in my room and holding my favorite stuffed animal, George. And he has another monkey. His name is George, too. So he doesn't feel scared when I'm scared.
Sometimes he's mean to me too.
She's worried that I'll get hurt too.
'Cause I'm scared of my dad.
Yeah, my mom and dad fought a lot, but now we're at this place, and my mom lives here, and my dad doesn't. So they don't fight anymore. It's really scary when they fight.
If I get hurt protecting my mom, I know she would do anything for me. She's my rock.
Call the police. That's what I had to do. My mom's boyfriend went to jail because of it.
Don't go in between the adults when you get hurt. Don't call 911 or use your phone. That's how I got hurt one time. Really hurt. I have a scar on my wrist.
I want to die, so I don't know. I don't think that's a good option, but what else is there to do to make it stop? It doesn't end. I've never been to a shelter. What is that?
But often when those cases come in, the message is that the children were asleep or they didn't see or they were somewhere else. But what we find is when we do actually get those children in the door, they have seen the violence, and they either have seen it on this occasion or on another one, or they've been abused themselves.
Physically fights my mom and me. He hasn't hurt my little sister or brother yet, though.
So whenever there's a case of domestic violence and we know that the adults involved have children, we are always advocating that those children make it to a child advocacy center like here, to have interviews, to have medical exams, to find out what they know, what they've been exposed to, and make sure that they and their bodies are safe.
So a lot of times kids are told that they need to not talk to anyone about this.
My stepdad threatens me not to talk about it.
A lot of fearful tactics put in to them from sometimes the abuser, sometimes just the shame and guilt of the domestic abuse happening at home.
The abuse. He tells me no one will believe me and that I'll just disappear.
For years and years, we used to think that if a child maybe didn't see or hear things, that they were not impacted. We know it's actually the exact opposite.
It hurts to watch. My older siblings try to protect me from seeing and hearing the abuse.
Domestic violence affects all race, socioeconomic status, sexual orientations, right? So there's no look to domestic violence.
All of these things. So all of these ways of growth are stunted for them. So they're not focusing at school because they couldn't sleep last night because mom and dad were fighting and they heard that all night. Or they can't focus at school because they're worried about mom being at home right now, and what is mom going through if dad's there or the abuser's there and the victim is there, and is mom going to be alive when I get home? Is mom going to have bruises? Is mom going to be crying when I get home? All these different things. That's what they're worried about when they're at school instead of focusing on learning.
Sometimes after school I was scared to go home because I knew before I went to school that day that things weren't going well. And when I was at school, I was worried about my mom and my baby brothers.
So you can just imagine the impact of a kid who's sitting at school all day and they're not listening, they're not paying attention, and school is not their main focus because survival is their main focus. So
I need her to stay alive.
Short-term effects could be acting out behavior, lack of attention, inability to sit still, sometimes looking like ADHD.
And so we know if a mama is in a domestic violence situation and is carrying a child, that stress can become toxic not only to her but to her unborn child.
Long-term could be going towards homelessness, drug abuse, alcoholism, violence themselves, because if you've experienced violence many times, they also will, that works towards their future, and that's what they know.
A child's alarm system, if you will, becomes overactivated, and we see, the fight, flight, freeze response becomes strong. It's on all the time.
I'm afraid for my mom's life and my own. I regret not calling 911 that day. My mom told me to, but calling 911 on my dad, it seemed really cruel. But who else was there to help my mom that day? It was me, and I failed her. I was 5. We left my dad after that day. That's when we came to the shelter.
Communities should have places like Safe Harbor to help kids and to be able to support them in their healing journey from experiencing traumatic incidents. And so every community should have an agency like that.
I think we need to support the agencies that do provide direct services. We're a county-based agency, so we're a government agency, and we're required by the state statutes to provide services. But I think that the general public does not realize how much the services that work directly with crime victims, like the housing, the shelter, the advocacy, community-based organizations like Safe Harbor, for example, how critical they are in the services they provide. If they're not funded fully, that means the groups aren't available, the supportive services aren't available, people can't meet their day-to-day needs and deal with the trauma that they've been through.
What my best answer for that would be is to be supportive and believe them, right? So again, creating that one trusted person, creating a safe person for them to tell that to.
But I'd also really provide support that looks like, I don't get to live your life. I'm not here to make decisions for you, but I want you to know that I support you and I'm here for you and I want to listen, and I'm not here to tell you what to do, but really just to be an open, safe space, a safe container for that person to come to so that they can have a safe place to fall, but then also what that does is allows them to continue to share with me safely.
Also, some other options is reporting it to the police, reporting it to CPS. Sometimes people, they can do an investigation and they can look into it. Also, people can be very frustrated if nothing comes of that. From my experience, sometimes they need to show a pattern of behavior, which is very frustrating. But so if you report it once and nothing happens, don't be discouraged by that. Continue to report as things are being told to you, and that can create a case and it can create a larger change.
Who can help her?
I think what you have to look at is that if it's a child that's in danger or you're concerned for child's safety, you can make an anonymous referral to social services, and they can, by law, protect your name as a reporter. So I think that's one avenue that does offer some insulation as far as making a report if you're concerned about a child's safety. And that's why it's made that way. I think that if you're acting in good faith, I can't comment or say legally whether there's ever any ramifications, because I know someone can file a lawsuit for slander, like civilly. I work in the criminal world, but in civil world, you can file a lawsuit if you thought someone was out to slander you. But I think that you have to look at what action did you take, what evidence did you have at the time, and were you doing it in the best knowledge of what you were trying to do in prevention or in safety. So it was revolutionary in that it changed the arresting procedure in domestic violence cases. It's been revised over the years, but it meant simply that it wasn't an officer's discretion on whether or not someone should be arrested. If there was probable cause that a crime had committed, an arrest had to be made. So there were no more, let's let the person walk around the block and cool off, or let's go let them stay somewhere else until they can think clearly, or let's ask the victim if they want to press charges. It took all that off the table, and the victim no longer had to press charges. If there was a crime that had been committed, and there was probable cause that a crime had been committed, the officer had to make an arrest. We have great officers that work really hard to get to the bottom of situations and to learn what's going on in a situation, but this gave them the mandate that they could then enforce a mandatory arrest and arrest the person that is primarily responsible for what happened.
I think believe them. I think listening to children and believing children is what we can all do to help keep children safe. There are too many examples in my career. I've interviewed over 3,000 children. I've interviewed, and I've been doing it about 20 years. So in that time, I've seen a lot of occasions where people don't believe kids, and not just parents, but maybe investigators, maybe teachers, maybe social workers or interviewers. So I think the first thing we have to do is really listen to kids and give them a chance to tell us things, not just how was your day, was it good, was it bad, but really saying, tell me all about what happened, and giving children a chance to talk about their experiences. I think that that's something that every single person can do. that doesn't cost anything, doesn't take any extra skill set. We can all start by listening.
And my mommy told me that my daddy was hurting her, and it was not good.